things racing and Jesus with your hosts, Daniel Hillian and Mitch Reynolds.
It's the Big 5-0, man.
Big 5-0.
We're almost to Social Security and Medicaid. We're almost there. It's episode 50.
Medicare for clarification.
Yeah, sorry.
Medicaid is state funded.
Right. Sorry.
Anyway, go ahead.
I ruined it. But anyways, across from me, Mitchell the Rocket Reynolds. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just here for your corrections, Super D. Clearly.
Story of my life,
I'm
man.
good, man. I'm excited for episode number 50.
It's good. As always, your boy, Daniel Hillian, Super D. Got two guys coming on tonight that we didn't touch on a lot in the last podcast, mainly because I wanted to have an episode like for them because there's a big race coming up and we're going to talk about it. But before we get into all that, got to give it up to the people that make it possible for us. 88 Live to Ride, RJR, B&B Motorsports, All-Terrain Motorsports, 110% nutrition. Get over there, use that code REMAIN at checkout to save a little bit. Phoenix Handlebars, I'm running some. I got a few other guys in the industry running them. Use our code RITR15 to save. Sofa Brand and Mex, we were rocking the Sofa Brand in our Builders Brawl 2 weeks ago. Jump on there, get the styles you like. They're super comfortable, super easy to take care of. You're going to love it. RTRP is that code. And then, our man Josh Klein, PH3 Photo and Video, he did some super sweet edits at the limited time they had there at Black Ankle, and I bet he makes his way over to the SuperMini Shootout coming up at Just Passing Thru this weekend. So this is coming out Friday.
The 24th.
The 24th, yes. And so tomorrow, the 25th, May 25th, is the SuperMini Shootout, round 2 of the East Coast EDT. That's going to be at Just Passing Thru, where we just were.
We just passed through there a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
What an excellent track.
Excellent track. The East Coast has a great series, a good following. I think there's going to be several guys there turning up. And the biggest thing is the SuperMini Shootout, man.
That is. This is really cool how the TT scene has gone to a lot of these shootout events. I'm really enjoying this where we're spotlighting and we're highlighting all the different racing, the different classes that are represented. We had the big women's race and then the big 90 youth shootout that Brandy Tulu put on. And now we're having this SuperMini Shootout. So it's really cool how they're getting sponsorship to just highlight all these specific classes in TT racing, and it's really cool.
I love it, man. It's because at the end of the day, like as much as we love CJ and Damian and Garrett, we love the pros. I mean, it's so just amazing just to lean up on the fence and watch the guys go around the track. But at the end of the day, the kind of the heart and soul of TT racing is the amateurs and the kids and the guys that are coming up. So the series are definitely putting an emphasis on those groups. So hey, we want to do our part to get the word out and highlight these guys as well. So here in a little bit we've got Carson Everley and Connor Cleveland on, and so I got some comments and some because I talked a lot about it, at the race, and actually did the live feed, and there was one race that between these two guys, and we'll get into it later, but it was so good to watch the battle and everything, but we didn't talk about it in the last podcast, and that's because I was like, oh, bless you over there. That's because we kind of had a week here where it was kind of open, and I was like, let's just get these guys on. There's tons of other great super mini racers out there. There's lots of good guys. It's just
we just highlighted, or we just got to witness a great race.
We
watched
it was these guys battled every class they raced together all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, and I would say I was on the edge of my seat, but I was on the edge of the bucket truck.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so good because a lot of these guys are riding different, little bit different motor packages, but they're 1-2 horsepower difference, And if it was a huge horsepower difference, people would be going, wait a second, because there are limits in these youth classes. So a big emphasis comes down to getting a good start and then being able to mentally ride a good, solid race. And so, dude, Carson and Konnor both had awesome rides. And what's crazy, and Carson even talks about it, this is his second year racing.
Wow, that's incredible.
I don't know that I even sniffed the podium for quite some time.
Yeah.
And so that makes it even more impressive. Konnor's got, I think, another year under his belt, but both of these guys are really, really new to the TT world. I mean, and you think how much, that first year, and you did it, I did it too, but when you jump back into something or you start, you're just trying to learn. You're just, hey, let's just try to learn. And, Carson was able to grab from the Midwest Series, he grabbed the SuperMini and the shifter class championships last year. So that was super cool at the banquet, getting to honor him and his parents and his family's there. And it was so cool. But had I known that was his first year racing, I would have probably made it more of a bigger deal than I did,
Yeah.
But anyway, these two guys are awesome. So yeah, that SuperMini Shootout is coming up this weekend. It's actually tomorrow, the 26th, 27th. Is that right? 25th, 26th.
Yes, there you go.
25th, 26th at Just Passing Thru. It's for round 2 of the East Coast EDT. And so, man, if you're in the vicinity, they got a little rain, but have been in contact, and the track is going to be primo.
It does. It handles rain well.
So
they got like 5 inches of rain before we showed up there.
Yeah,
and it was
and it was
prime.
great. Yeah. So there could be, as long as something doesn't just show up overnight or tomorrow. I think it's going to be really, really good. But dude, listen to this, Mitch. First place in the SuperMini Shootout, $700.
Nice. I wish I could compete.
That'd help pay for the fuel over there and back. Second place, $500. Third place, $300, and a $200 hole shot. I mean, let's go, man. That's awesome. And they've got some amazing sponsors that have stepped up to partner with Just Passing Thru and the East Coast Series, man. And so I'm excited. Again, this is Emily and I just celebrated our 13th wedding anniversary on Monday.
Congratulations.
So happy anniversary to Boo. We're going on a little trip this weekend, ditching the kids. Adios, smell you later. But don't you think for a second I won't be tuned in on the side to what's happening there, Just Passing Thru. So I know from when we were there, they've made some changes to the track a little bit, make it a little more racy. They kind of, they had a big group come in and see how the track developed and how it worked. And so took some suggestions and they've made some changes. So it's
CJ on the dozer, man. Made the tabletop, made some changes.
Yep.
CJ just Mr. Do It All. Incredible, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be super, super cool to I'm excited, man. Like, I love TT racing, I love being there, but I'm going to be glued to see what all shakes out here at Just Passing Thru. It's going to be really, really exciting. So, hey, man, we've had a nice little intro here. You want to just call up a couple guys, see if they want to jump on, see if this Cleveland guy and this Everley guy.
I think we should.
All right.
Let's get them on the horn.
All right. Well, hey, y'all stay with us, and we'll be back with Carson Everley and Konnor Cleveland. Y'all stay with us.
All right, we are joined here with Carson Everley, number 33 from Tennessee, and Mr. Konnor Cleveland, number 199 from Arkansas. What's up, boys?
Howdy. Nothing, just happy to be here.
Just happy to be here. We are happy to have you guys. So, Carson, we'll start with you. What made you want to start racing EDT, or TT racing, as we've been discussing?
I raced a couple small fair races in my hometown, and my dad decided to try Just Passing Thru Raceway one night, and we fell in love. He decided that night to start my custom build, and it's been full force from there on.
Carson, what was that first machine you raced on at that fair race? What were you riding?
65 Cobra.
Oh, a Cobra, okay. And so that kind of leads into the next question. What did old Daddy Jordan there, what did y'all start building? So you went from the Cobra, what came after that?
150.
The 150. Now, is it the same one you still have to this that you're riding now?
Yes, just
And-
different motor.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that's a 400EX chassis, is that right?
Yes.
One of the greatest chassis ever made, man.
Love the 400EX chassis. He rips that thing around the track too, I can assure you. I witnessed it at Just Passing Thru. What a sweet track to get your racing career started at. That would hook anyone because that is an awesome track for sure. Konnor, what about you? What made you want to start TT racing?
I went to Ashtabula for the 50th, and I saw all the people there, and it just looked really cool. And I talked to my dad about it, and he said we'll just start from there.
What a great race to get started at as well. That event was huge. Really, really fun racing for sure. So I'll bounce it back over to Carson. What do you like most about racing, TT racing? What do you like most?
Racing against the best kids in the nation.
Oh, nice. So the competition. All right. What about you, Konnor?
You don't have to race for 2 hours like in cross country.
You like the fact that you're on the track for a shorter amount of time, can get a little break, and then go out again. I like it. So we're going to pitch it to the other end of that. So what do you like least, or what do you dislike about TT racing? Carson, go ahead.
There's not really anything I don't like besides rainouts.
Agreed.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
That is the problem with
Except
TT
for
racing at times.
Except for GNCC, you race through storm.
That's
and
right.
rain and everything.
You know, Carson, that's what got me into woods racing was when the flat track scene kind of here locally was going away. It's like, man, we've done this cross country stuff, hit and missed it, in the off season a little bit. And man, when I was flat track racing, I was like, I wanted the best conditions in the woods.
Excuse me, TT racing.
Oh,
we've
TT
got some clarification. So we're going to start having some.
Oh, did I say it wrong?
Well, you said flat track.
Oh, my bad. TT.
It is TT racing, baby.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay? That's what we're going to do from now on.
Talked about it.
TT
Anyway,
racing.
When TT racing kind of went away, we jumped into XC racing. You see what I did there? And man, I have raced XC when it was snowing, Carson. I have raced XC when it was, I think it was literally 100 degrees, 98, 100 degrees. And for me, man, the worse the conditions, the better it is for me until you have to clean it up if it's a mud race. So have you done some cross countries before, man?
I just went to watch them.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you have a great story of like a TT race you went to? Like, say you went to Ashtabula and it got rained out? Because I have that story.
We went to Dresden and Birch Creek. Birch Creek, it held there and poured the rain.
Yep, that was last year, man. That was an awesome track, too. They really worked that place over from when Mitch and I raced there years ago.
That's for sure.
It looked good. Oh, man, yeah. So, anyways, yeah,
The
sorry.
old horseshoe. The old horseshoe.
And then Dresden, it poured the rain that night. And Black Ankle this year.
Man, come on, Mother Nature. Give us a break, right? Like we need just a little rain, but not a lot.
We always say we're bad luck on the news because it always rains when we go to the races.
So
the only one it hasn't rained on us yet is Ashtabula.
Wow.
Well, I've definitely had a trip where we drove for, how far is Ashtabula for us? 16, 16 hour drive for us, man. And we got all the way there, practiced Friday night, rode one heat race, rained it out. And as soon as they called it and people are pulling out of the driveway, sun comes out, there's a rainbow, and it's just like, of course.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Konnor, I'm going to pitch the question over to you. What do you dislike most about TT racing?
On the same point Carson made, like just rainouts, and like you drive like Ashtabula, you drive like 14 hours and it rains out and you don't even get to race and you just have to
yes.
just go back home.
Hang out.
We just need to like take a week off so we can just continue the race. We don't have to cancel it, something, But you are right. The conditions of a TT track, it can only handle so much rain. That's for sure.
And that's the downside. Like one thing about TT racing is when you get all that rain, if you can get the track rolled in and dried up, like that's the best the track will ever be, and everybody has to go home.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we should just take off.
We should just take off and continue.
Just passing through it dries out after 1 hour mostly.
Man, it is
Yeah.
crazy, like how well the moisture comes back at night, but how quick it dries out in the day, for sure. Because I know you guys had a lot of rain out there before we came out to the racetrack, and man, it was mint. The track was primo, and it was a ton of fun. So definitely make a trip back out there.
Poured the rain today, and then they're saying we're still racing because it's already dried up again.
Love it. Well, and that's what we're doing today. We're talking about this this big super mini race that y'all are going to have there at the East Coast EDT race. So we're looking forward to tuning in and paying attention. And that's what we're just kind of prepping everybody with this episode here with you two guys for the big super mini race. Cause we know you two guys will be top contenders when it comes there. Like you guys dice it out on the track, and it's really, really fun to watch. But speaking of racing, who is your favorite rider? Who do you look up to the most, Carson?
The baddest man on the planet, C.J. Robson.
He is.
Couldn't agree.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep, you're exactly right. What about you, Konnor? Who do you look up to?
For Damien
Super
left
he.
2 years ago, I'm probably going to say
Super
Damien.
D.
Damien?
What was that? Sorry, it sounded like you said Super D, but go ahead and clarify for all the listeners out there.
Damien.
That's not what I heard. You want to try again? I'm kidding. No, Damien's a great guy.
Damien King is good. I mean, Super D is a good guy. He looks up to you off the racetrack, but as far as racers are concerned, definitely Damien's got you by a lap or two.
Yeah. Both of you guys played witness to my riding skills at Just Passing Through 2 weeks ago when I was like, I'm going to spin a few laps, and Mitch comes out there and he's like, let me show you how to do it. And I was like, yeah, you did. It was embarrassing, but
it's all good.
Yeah.
Hey,
man.
we'll let bygones be bygones, my friend.
Okay.
All right, Carson, what do you think your biggest accomplishment has been in your career so far?
Winning 2 championships this first year ever racing.
Yeah. Timeout right there. So as I was kind of, Mitch and I are talking, we always say, hey, who do we have coming up? What do we have lined up? And I was reaching out to your family, Carson. And so you literally did a race on the Cobra, put together this 150, and then raced 2023 was your first season racing, right?
Yeah.
That just makes this whole thing even more awesome.
Absolutely.
Because I remember, watching some of the races last year that we went to, got to watch you guys, race, and I'm like, dang, man, that 33's got it together, And that is man, that's super awesome, dude, man. You got high standards, bud. I'm excited for the road ahead. So this is your second season racing and getting after it.
So it's like, most people's first season's like, we're going to go get our feet wet. Like, we're going to go race nationals. We'll go out there and compete with people and see what we can do.
Not Everley's. Not Everley's.
No. They say we're going to come out and win championships. Just year one, win championships. Yeah. So,
and just so listeners know, that would have been Super Mini class and shifter?
Yes.
Shifter class. Okay. Cool.
Well, Carson, amazing. Congratulations. That is awesome. What about you, Mr. Konnor Cleveland? What is your biggest accomplishment in your career so far?
I think it was last year whenever it was my second year. We didn't really know anything about it much, and I got to ride behind him, and I think whenever I got second, right behind him in both championships.
Cool. So we're here with the 1 and 2 in the MWEDT and the Super Mini and the shifter class.
Yeah.
These guys right here, really fresh, real green around the ears, if you will.
Yeah.
And
so Konnor, so y'all, you went to the 50th. That would have been 2019, and kind of started getting into it a little bit in 21. But your first season racing, like hitting the nationals, was it 21 or 22?
We hit some of them in 21, and then my first full season was 22.
Okay. Now, in that machine that you rode in 22 and 23, was that a fresh build for 22?
No, I think we built it in 21.
21. Okay.
Just came some of them.
Yep, and it was a 400EX chassis too, right? Yep.
Yep.
And then this year you've moved over to the Raptor chassis. Raptor, sorry. For listeners, it's inside joke, sorry. Raptor, not Rapturd. Gotcha. Cool. All right, sorry. Keep hijacking. Go ahead, Mitch.
I love it, Super D. You never know where you're going to go with Super D. You just got to hang on, just kind of like a roller coaster ride.
Hold on,
Just hold your hands up. Woo! Okay. Anyway, we'll get back to it here. What are your goals for the 2024 season, Carson? What are your goals this year, buddy?
To finish top 3 in all my races. However, I hope to continue to chase the top of the box.
Nice.
Great goals. And what about you, Konnor?
My goals this year is I race a little bit of cross country, so my goals this year is to at least place top 3 in pretty much every cross country I go to and win championship TC.
Great goals as well. So, Konnor, you kind of answered the question. Our next question is, what other type of ATV racing do you do? So you do some cross country with the TT racing. Are just those two? Do we do any MX?
No, not yet.
We don't, but I've heard of a little jumping that you've done recently. So maybe a little MX at some point in time. Huh? Wink,
Maybe.
wink, hint, hint. What about you, Carson? Do you do any other type of ATV racing? You are a TT exclusive guy.
All I do is have fun outside and fish, mostly, and surf.
Hey,
out on the lake.
Those are good things to do.
There you go.
Be outdoors, guys.
Yeah. Okay, here we go, Carson. I need you but if you did another type of racing, it would probably 100% be cross country, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Because you enjoy living and not having people land on your head, right?
But feeling alive is jumping through the air. Am I right?
Two to
Konnor,
nothing, Mitch.
do you feel alive when you go in the air?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. I feel fully alive when I'm in the air.
I feel like I want to throw a big rip, but I can't do it.
Yeah. Yep. Same. Do you also feel like you might poop on yourself? Because that's how I feel too.
I don't know how CJ does it, but
dude, CJ's next level, man. He gave me a high five 2 weeks ago. He was going around a corner, and I just held my hand out, and he just said, "Boop." I was like,
yeah,
cool.
That's what he done to Aaron.
Yeah,
At Ashtabula.
that was
during a race.
So cool.
Wow. CJ, what a guy to look up to for sure. That guy's got going on. So other than turning it into the CJ show here, who else would we like to thank? Carson, who do you want to thank for helping you out, for getting you to the races, for making this dream come alive for you, buddy?
First, I'd like to thank my dad, my mom, Bailey, Dustin, my sister. But here's my sponsors. Canebrake Racing, Kenny is the man, 75 Design, Empire Exhaust, MLO Power Sports, Factory 43, Henson's Clutch, Maltech ATV, FXR, Everley Trucking, Manor Trucking, Paint Construction, Playground Pros, TriStar Detailing, Walker and Welding Diesel Repairing, Denny Marina, H&R Livestock, Phillips Farming, Scott Racing, Nard Building, Duncan Oil Drilling, Fraser Custom Hauling, and River Grill.
That's a great list.
Did you say, what was the playground sponsor you said?
Playground Pros. They go to everywhere over the country to build playgrounds for people.
That is probably, I got to give, Kenny Bullington's a good guy. I love Kenny. He's awesome. But playground, you have a playground company that is sponsoring you. That is sick, man.
That is sick.
The coolest thing. That's probably one of the coolest sponsors I've ever heard. Jackie Meadows, Mitch, you remember way back in the day, had Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, you go around and hand them out.
I think Playground Pros is probably the second coolest sponsor I've ever heard.
Are we saying Carson's going to go around handing out playgrounds? I mean,
the dude's name is Michael Cummins.
Dude,
Michael Cummins.
That is sweet.
That's cool.
Everyone, you need to follow Carson's lead.
Yep.
We need outside sponsors.
Yep.
Hand out playgrounds.
Yep.
Yes. Carson, you got it going on, dude.
So we pick up the playgrounds, we load them on an Everley trucking, he lays some asphalt down and then delivers it. Is that what happens?
I wish it could.
That's awesome, dude. Just making that cheddar. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry.
Sweet. Konnor, what about you? Who do you want to thank, buddy?
First of all, God for letting me do all this. My dad, my mom, my sister, and my grandparents.
Wait, time out. Why are y'all think your sisters don't do anything? Why are y'all thinking your sisters?
Hey, they show up to every race. Mine does.
Yeah.
So I have to say
Does
that.
she wash the quad? Does she clean an air filter? Does she eat all your snacks? Like, what are we doing here, brothers?
She gives me motivation and says gas it all the time. And kick their ass.
Okay, all right, I'll allow that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stand up for the sisters. That's right, Carson.
Yeah. It's same for you, Konnor. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister gives me lots of motivation in every sport I do.
Go!
The sisters.
That's awesome.
Hey, shout out to the sisters out there. The bringing the motivation. I don't know that my sister brought me any motivation, but she was always there. Listen, in all honesty, my sister was probably faster than me. She was just dangerous. Like, she didn't know the limit. And we were talking about the other day with my son. It's like, listen, Mallory's short racing career was very short because Dad told her not to let off or hit the brake. And she literally did neither. Like, she just held it pinned, and I don't know how she didn't flip. And so after she won the big trophy, it was like, well, we're parking that thing. She is a danger to herself and everyone else out there. So
she's going to get someone killed.
Sorry,
Konnor, go ahead with your sponsors, bud. Go ahead. Start. Yeah. Hit it. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
My sister, and then the rest of my family that supports me, and Junkyard Motors, RJR, and just thank you to everybody who helps put the races on for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To make it happen so that he can compete and have some fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you don't have to thank RJR. He's garbage. I wouldn't worry about that guy. Yeah. Hey, sorry, I just thought of another question here. Carson, how close do y'all, because you're a Tennessee guy, how close are you to Just Passing Thru?
45 minutes.
Oh, nice. Well, that sounds
so
terrible.
it's like a home track.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you able to like get out there like and do any practicing from time to time? I mean, is that where you get to kind of test and tune?
We done it once before, but we not went yet because of been all the races we started.
We done it once, but we ain't not went yet.
Oh, well.
My man. We're going to be friends for a long time, Carson.
The reason he can appreciate that so much, Carson, because that was the most Super D thing said on this whole show so far.
I'll tell you what, Playground Pros and we ain't not went yet. That's a triple negative, dude. I'm here for it.
He is.
Hey, just so you know, hey, man, look, I mean, I turned out fine. So
he did.
You got no problem.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. Well, guys, we've been at it for about 20 minutes, man. I just want to thank y'all for some time tonight. Like I said, we've been pumping up the SuperMini Shootout. Both of you guys are going to be there. And if it's anything like what we saw 2 weeks ago, man, I'm pumped for both of you guys. Y'all are great competitors, great racers. And, man, it is going to be a fun weekend. I won't be there. I'll be celebrating my 13th wedding anniversary with my amazing wife, Emily. And I'm very excited to be a part of that. Very excited. But I'll also be tuned into the race too. So I don't know which one of your parents or how, but we're going to watch and have video of it. It'll be great. So, yeah, thank you guys for jumping on with us tonight. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for having me on the show too.
Yeah. Well, that is Carson Everley and Konnor Cleveland, SuperMini Shootout extraordinaires, pros,
top contenders,
top quaddist contenders. I don't know.
Sure.
Hey, tell you what, we're going to catch a break and we will be right back. Y'all stay with us. Big thank you to the number 33 of Carson Everley and the 199 of Travis Pastrana. I'm just kidding. Konnor Cleveland. So funny. Couple races back at Paducah. I'm standing there beside the Eric Ashcraft, Mr. Dragon Race Fuel, CCR mechanic and extraordinaire, live stream guru, the Eric Ashcraft. And he goes, and up in SuperMini class, what is this 199 Travis Pastrana? And I was like, no. that is the Konnor Cleveland. He's like, does he know Travis Pastrana? I said, probably not. Maybe a little bit, but most likely not. He's like, oh, okay, whatever.
Although his dad was a freestyler, though.
His dad was a freestyler. That is for sure. Freestyler. But I tell you what, man, if you haven't, and this is not to this, if you want to watch a great race, go back to Saturday and Sunday, SuperMini class from the Midwest Series, rounds 3 and 4, just passing through, and watch the battle between Dallas Martin, Carson Everley, and Konnor Cleveland. It was the best race of the weekend.
Absolutely was.
I mean,
incredible.
Incredible. At one point, I am losing my mind because, and I told the guys that, we always talk to our guests, but before we hit record and then even after, I have been in both these guys' shoes. You have been. Anyone that's been in racing any amount of time has been in both these guys' shoes, okay? So I believe it was Saturday, Konnor ends up getting the win, okay? So then Sunday rolls around, and this is just the main. I don't remember what happened in the heat race, forgive me. But in the mains, Carson gets a start that is awesome, and Konnor doesn't, and him and Dallas are just locked into this battle.
Yes.
And Carson is just every lap, just half a bike length, just gapping them.
Yes,
and I'm like, and they've just put together this new bike. Kenny Bulletin's been tuning on this 150, probably just runs 18,000 RPMs. I don't know, Kenny. Let me know what you're doing to these things. By the way, after our last one, he sent me a message. He goes, oh, yeah, we build those motors to rip the seat covers off. And I said, well, the 417 of Kyle Scott's will do it.
It will.
And he said, I guarantee you. So, Kenny's a great guy. I love Kenny. But so Carson has got they did some tuning, did some restructuring on his hybrid. And so it's coming together. He's got it going on. And then 2 laps to go. He's 2-3 turns away from the white flag lap, and he makes a little bobble, and then that at somewhere during the race, Konnor was able to get around Dallas. So it's Everley.
I would say about the midway point.
Midway. Okay.
Yep. So he comes over that roller up the hill. They come out of the split line, comes over the roller, and kind of sets him up going. He had really set him up the lap before.
Which him? You talking about Konnor and Dallas?
Konnor and Dallas.
Okay.
They're battling.
Yep.
And so Konnor, I believe, tries him. Yeah, what he does is he tries to run him on the outside and run him hot in the corner and just carry the speed around.
Yep.
But then Dallas was actually able to shut him off going in the left-hand corner. But then the next lap, Konnor does just the opposite. He runs down there on the outside, but then checks up and goes inside, so he carries momentum down to the little sweeping bank corner back to the left. It was like, that was a nice move.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas was running a great race, but for Konnor, just kind of set him up the lap before and to carry that momentum.
And again, these guys haven't been racing that long.
They haven't.
I'm just like, I'm up there filming this, and I'm like, okay, I got to remember that move, and it was so
No
good
doubt.
to see. So then we're halfway through the race, okay, give or take. If it's not exactly, just go with us, okay? So Everley is out front, and he's got a comfortable lead, okay? Then it's Konnor, and then it's Martin. So Everley, Cleveland, Martin. Well, it's the next to last lap, couple turns to go. Carson makes a little bit of a mistake, misses a shift, comes in a little hot, happens to all of us. Not a big deal, okay? But then it's like he tried to, okay, I've got to make up time.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're doing great. Just hold what you got. Makes another little bobble. And it's like, for whatever reason, Konnor catches a glimpse of this or can see. And so it's like he closed the gap or Carson gave up the gap, whatever it was. Again, I have been in both these guys' shoes, both of their boots. Like, I've been on both ends of this. And so it comes down. It's the last lap. Connor's closing in. And Carson, one of the option lanes, hits a little bit of a berm and kind of loses traction. And then Konnor is right there and kind of does the same little move over the roller, kind of basically what he did to Dallas, was able to do again, and ends up passing him last corner, next to last corner, and takes the win. And I was, as like calling a race, it's just the guy that's coming from behind, that's the one it's like, oh my God, he clicked,
Right.
And after it was over, I was so excited for Konnor. Like, man, like that's that's so cool that you're able to do that. What a huge confidence boost. But as the level I was of excitement for Konnor, I was equally that crushed for Carson, because just right before this, I had talked to Carson. I said, hey, man, what are we going to do? He said, we're going to go out here and get this win. I said, dude, that's what I'm talking about. I said, I'll be cheering for you. And I was just crushed for him, man, because you could see it. He drops his head, and it's one of those things like, I've had that happen before. Mitchell, the Rocket, has had this happen before, you know?
I mean,
and even at Landon on the ride home, we were talking about it. He goes, I have had more Carson situations in my life than I have Konnor. And I said, yeah, I'm probably the same way. But, man,
those are the ones you hold on to as well. You're like, I pulled the whole shot.
Yep.
Things were going well, and it just, boom, boom, and it was like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of spiraled out of control for you. Like, of if they ran 10 laps, 9 of them were great,
Spot
or 8
on.
and a half of them.
Yep.
And then it's just that lap and a half. And
I think it speaks to, yes, you need to have the machine. You've got to have the setup, but just the mental toughness you have to have, whether you're riding 90s or you're CJ and Garrett going at it. I mean, it's tough out there. And so I was so pumped. And so that's why we didn't talk about it a lot in the last episode, because I'm like, I think I can make a whole episode out of these two guys in this race. And the coolest part is Carson was, understandably, I would be too, is just upset. And Konnor goes over and says, hey, man, good race. And Carson's like, man, thank you, and he said, good job, and they're like super competitors, but they're also sportsmanship to the next level. And that's what, like, kids, listeners out there, like, people in the industry are like, yeah, they like to get behind people that win, but they also like to get behind people that have character.
absolutely.
And
character goes a long,
Yes.
long way.
Yeah.
I mean, it can make or break you.
There were several classes there of people that should know better 2 weeks ago that should have watched those two young men and followed their example. I will tell you that, because I can see a lot from my bucket truck, and there was a couple of situations that I'm like, y'all need to grow up and act like the SuperMini kids.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll get off that soapbox. But
No, I agree. I mean, you need to be on that soapbox because it's the truth. I mean, it's a sport, just like all sports that are competitive. Your adrenaline's up.
Yeah.
You just kind of exhaust yourself, and something goes awry or bad. Like, what do most people want to do? They just want to blow up and respond. But what do these kids do? They're like, you know what? Dang it! But good job. Like, I'm gonna load up. I'm coming back for you.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it on the racetrack, like not take each other out, but just race each other competitively. I'm going to try to beat you, not I'm going to try to beat you in the head here or argue my way of how I'm better than you, like some tend to not do correctly.
Well, and it was so cool because, I've got the greatest vantage point. I can see the whole pits. I can see the track from everything. And to watch these guys, and I felt so bad for them, but just to see the support systems they have around them and the people coming over, man. And for the dads and the moms, they've put in the time and the work and the finances to make it happen. And your knee-jerk reaction is just, if you're in Carson's camp, is just to be like, are you kidding? But then to just be like, man, we've come so far in such a short period of time, I was pumped for Konnor. I was crushed for Carson. But then I reached out and I said, hey, man, I talked to both families and I said, hey, man, the way, win or lose, the way both of these young men carried themselves, I said, is noted, and I want them to know that. And so I've told their moms and dads, and they're great young men. I'm excited for the days ahead. But Mitch, as we kind of start to wrap this one up, dude, that reminded, as we were talking about this, and you talk about how you respond to things. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but in my line of work, May is very, very, very exciting for me. This is graduation season. So every year I have students that graduate. Sometimes I have 5, sometimes I have 20, sometimes I have, the groups fluctuate,
of people you've been pouring in for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. So this year, I had some students graduate. 2 young ladies that I trust these 2 ladies with my children. They both babysit for Emily and I regularly, and they're awesome young ladies. But I've made it a point, and it's not a new thing, but when you go to the different graduation parties, they're like, hey, we've got a Bible here. Could you underline your favorite verse and put a little note beside it? Or, hey, will you sign this? But, different things like that, okay? And so I always my go-to verse is a passage that I believe I probably really remember reading and it kind of sticking with me probably when I was Carson and Konnor's age. And then it kind of came back around when I was in junior high, and then it came back around again when I was in high school and college, and I just keep coming back to this verse. But it's from the book of James, okay? And so this book is authored by the brother of Jesus. So this is Jesus's younger brother, James.
Yeah.
And he writes these words in the first chapter, verse 19. So James 1:19, it says, "And I encourage you, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry."
Isn't that the opposite of what we tend to want to do? We tend to want to. Thunder. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then it goes on there in verse 20. It says, "Because anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires." Okay. The point is, though, the thing I want to kind of drive home here: quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. Anytime I get the opportunity sometimes to speak at the schools, at different clubs and whatnot, this is my go-to lesson, because we live in a society that is, you need to hear what I have to say. And if you don't like it, we'll forget you and get mad and stomp off, Yeah. And right here, the brother of Jesus, and this is also what's kind of cool is, like, I like my brother, you like Mal, y'all, but I don't know. I don't want to give Drew too much credit, but this is so cool that Jesus' brother is like, no, this is the right way to do it. So to me, it feels like there's a little more power behind these words. But he says you should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And then I share these stories about times in my life where I've done that backwards, like you were talking about, and it doesn't end well for me. Short story is, I got ejected from a 9th grade football game because I was very quick to speak and very quick to get angry. Yeah. And different story for a different podcast.
I think when you look at, when you respond that way and you look back at it later, like usually that you have remorse and regrets. You're like,
yep.
So there's 100% wisdom in what James is writing here.
Yes.
Because maybe James has experienced this before.
Yeah, sure.
Where he's blown up,
Yep.
And spoken.
What younger brother hasn't on their older brother,
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like,
go read Jacob and Esau. Tell me what you learned. Yeah.
I should have done that. I should have handled that just a little bit different. He said, here's the key. Be quick to listen. The opposite of what you're thinking you should do, and quick to speak and make everyone hear you.
Right.
Actually, just listen. Absorb it all. Take it in. Don't become angry.
Yep.
Don't respond.
Yep. And it's just so funny because I feel like we're a society that everyone, you're either forced or you're against us, and it's like, I'm neither. I don't like what you're doing, but I'm not against you either.
That's right.
But there's so many times it's like, well, if you don't like my opinion, then you're just a hater. And it's like, no, I just, again, quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. And I think that's a lot because, especially for my high school seniors that now I've got 13, 14 years of high school seniors, I had a thing pop up on Facebook, and it was a group of students that they were 7th graders when I started in student ministry. And now I've got to do some of their weddings. They're having kids. They're in their careers now, and it's so cool to see. And one of them, I had said something about, graduation season, yada, yada. And one of them said, hey, man, just want you to know that James 1:19 verse still comes up in my life. And I said, really? They said, yeah, you wrote it in something, and we was going back through. And he said, it's just a verse that's stuck with me. And I'm like, man, that's so, and that's not like a, wow, Daniel, look at what you did. I'm like, there's something there, man.
Absolutely.
And
it's a reminder for us daily.
I know when we live in a world where you can jump on a keyboard and basically say whatever you want and there's zero consequences, I think that this passage kind of reminds us that, hey, man, maybe I don't need to blast this off. Maybe I just need to sit and kind of wallow in this for a little bit because God's trying to teach us something. And so that's what I tell the students. I said, hey, this is a season of your life that's ending. Like some of you, like the best days are ahead of you, and some of you probably need to grow up because like high school isn't forever, some of you peaked and some of you, like, the best days are ahead of you. But I always want to encourage them to life is exciting and it's awesome, but always be listening for God's voice, and that could come in a sermon, that could come from a goofy podcast from a couple guys that talk about TT racing or whatever, okay? It could come through God's word, it could come through a book, it could come in the silence, man, or it could come in just a conversation with a good friend. But
all these things are true.
Always be tuned into God's voice, because again, you were created on purpose for a purpose. You are, Mitch, me, all of our listeners, created on purpose for a purpose. And I think when you begin to spiritually mature and you get to hear and you're kind of tuned in to when God is leading you, like, hey, take this step, don't do this thing. I think that's when you begin to grow into the person God created you and uniquely designed you to be. And so it's kind of just cool that here we are talking about this with a couple of young bucks, young racers. And it's like, man, I've been living this for the last month with the different college graduation and high school graduation, and so it's exciting. And I just felt like, because you said, hey, what's our Bible study? And I was like, already got that locked in, man.
You got it lined out.
James 1:19. So that's a great passage, and if it's not in your arsenal of memorized scriptures, it's super easy. Quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry.
I love it. That is a great application.
Another side note here, another reason this verse means a lot to me is I know. Back to that 9th grade football where I got ejected. I know that I have a temper. I know it. Now, 5 people in my life may have ever seen that come out because I suppress that thing as deep as I can get it. Mainly because there's times where if I am quick to speak and I am quick to get angry, it doesn't, like, when those times happen, nothing ever, you nailed it. Nothing ever positive comes from it.
That's right.
So I know that. So I'm like, I always try to keep my guard up. And so it's one of those things, like, I can be super, super, super competitive, but that's usually when I do and say things that I'm like, I shouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so that's where, dude, I just try to have fun every day. Some days are not fun. Some days suck. Just call it like it is.
That is life. That is the curriculum of life. Some days are awesome. Some days suck. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that even on the bad days, like, I still know what Christ has done in my life. And even though I have way more questions than I have answers and I still don't really understand all of it, like, I know what Christ has done in my own life. And I've seen him at work. Dude, in this janky podcast between 2 goober heads that just love race, like, the stories that we get, and the things that we kind of have cooking on the back burner with some men and just discipleship thing, like, that is so cool.
Absolutely.
Like, so even on a bad day, like, it's like, but these other things are so much greater.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of these things are a result of listening and doing. Yeah. Just like James said, just daily learning to listen to God and doing what he leads you to do.
And I think another thing that James is probably like you said, that maybe there's some regret, maybe there's something happened here. But if you pause and you're quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry, it's going to give you a chance to think for a second. What is the intent behind what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I trying to put someone down? Am I trying to prove a point? Am I trying to build the kingdom? Because I think that third option is what we should be doing anytime we open our mouth. You know?
So not to go too far off into this, but kind of what I thought about is Jesus' response as he's being put on trial.
Yeah.
He didn't respond much, did he?
No.
He just listened, and he's like, I am what you say. That's basically what his response was. So I've heard it said, I think Andy Stanley said this, you ask in every situation, what would it be like for me to lose in this situation? And he points to that. Like, Jesus was quiet. He knew that he was going to lose his life in the end of that situation. But he was going to conquer death and allow us to all gain life by his sacrifice. So we've got like an ultimate example there of not responding in anger because he was completely innocent in all the things he was accused of. He was about to be beaten to a pulp and then killed, and that's what he did. He just listened. He didn't respond vengefully or in anger. I mean, you think about that. So you can ask yourself, in this situation, what would it mean for me to lose?
Yeah. That's a great point. And to bring that kind of full circle back to quad racing, it's one of those things that usually there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of energy and finances that have gone into it, but at the end of the day, it's a four-wheeler race, man.
It is.
Now, I know for some people it's life. There was a time in my life where there's a time in your life where it was the end-all, be-all. But I think when you're tuned into God's voice and you're listening, you're going to realize that whether I win or lose this race, I'm a child of the King, and that's way more important.
Yeah, there's bigger implications than this moment.
There's big, exactly.
Absolutely.
Man, good one. Well, hey, this has been a great episode. It's probably great half a century, man.
Great half century. We're halfway to triple digits.
I know.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, we've come a long ways too.
have.
We've listened. We've talked a lot. I don't think we've got angry.
I don't think so.
Nah.
I mean, we picked on each other. Just having a good time. We haven't really ever been angry. We're not naturally
I'm not angry person.
People. No.
No. Like I said, I bet 4 people have seen me get real wound up.
It was 5, now it's 4. I haven't ever seen you. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was more, but I've killed them all. I'm just kidding. Just joking. That's a joke.
You took them out.
Yeah, I'm going to delete that out.
We will not. We will have no witnesses.
Hey, man, it's getting late. I've still got to do some editing, so how about you close us up out of episode 50?
All right. Father God, we thank you for your love for us, for guiding us, and just instructing us in life. Lord, help us to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger as you instruct us to do. Just continue to bless us and use us. Lord, I pray for every listener out there that you will just intervene in their life and use them in a great way. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, hey, thanks for listening, and we will catch you in the next one.